Yo, what is going on, guys? This is Mr. Loki, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the best of the best builds for Loki, and with, of course, mathematical proof. Now, I'm going to be covering the most popular items for Loki, so no, I will not be using Icaville, I won't be using Executioner, I won't be using anything that's not normal. So we are going to be talking about pen Loki, and then we're going to find the best pen build, and then compare that to the crit build. I think you guys are going to find some interesting results, so let's get started. The first one is the one that's pretty popular, right? I would say you go Boomba, Spear, Yones, Hydra's, Crusher, Heartseeker, Bane. I have a little software that was created by, and it's right here. It was created by Ant D. So, and I will put this damage calculator in the description down below. And it essentially, what it does is it connects to your log file, your combat log file that's right here. And then whatever damage you deal, it records that damage. It even tells you, for example, the reason of the damage. So you can see here in the image right here, the reason, like basic attack, vanish, crusher. So it's pretty cool. It's the best way to figure out the builds of the best damage builds, I guess, without having to do the math manually. It just simply records it. Really convenient, saves me hours and hours because before I used to do this all manually. Anyways, this build alone against a base defense Odin. So all these are base defense Odin, you know, just squishy Odins until I say so otherwise. So the first build does 2000. Oh, and I will not, this is without power potion, without red buff, no frenzy, and there will be no ultimate, and there will be no decoy damage because it's hard to calculate with the decoy damage since people walk in and out of it. Sometimes you get 4 ticks, sometimes you get 1 tick, 2 ticks. So just to make it consistent, I'm only considering the auto attacks, the bleed damage, and that's it. I'm also not including the flurry damage of Loki's 3 because we all know that it does a lot of damage, but you're wasting 3 seconds and you're probably going to die. So this is about burst damage in the end game, how fast Loki can kill you. And in the first image, in just 2 seconds, I do a total of 2,105 damage to a squishy Odin bot. Really good damage. The second one I tried with Boomba's hammer rather than Boomba's spear, and instead it did 1,898. Significantly less damage, but it is more. But you do heal with Boomba's hammer, and of course you get your cooldown reduction. Yeah. So the first one wins in terms of damage. The second one is all I did is replace Yone's Wrath with Transcendence, and I did a little bit more damage. Yeah, I did do 100 more damage with Transcendence instead of Yone's Wrath. But this is a jungle build, so you wouldn't build this in the solo lane, so it's stacking in the jungle is not that great, and it's also more expensive, so you can't really rush it early on. So generally speaking, Yone's Wrath is more valuable than Transcendence, so we're going to go ahead and say that Yone's Wrath is better than Transcendence for pen build Loki. The second build is replacing Crusher, I believe, with Dominance. So a lot of people, I guess, are familiar with Dominance. I don't think it's a good item. I don't think a lot of people think it's a good item. And so I got rid of it and replaced it with Crusher. And the damage, again, pretty not great. So 1,900 damage, 2,000 damage, not that great. So I wouldn't pick this up. Crusher is better. Then we tried in the bottom here, replaced, what's it called? Heartseeker with Brawlers. So just going more flat pen, ignoring Heartseeker, and of course it does a little bit less damage than the first build that is 2115, but it is cheaper, but it's more damage. Also Heartseeker gives you more damage against tanks because it's percent penetration, blah blah blah, right? So we're gonna stick with Heartseeker, but you can go Brawlers if you want. It's the damage differences isn't too high, so again 2077 here, and then 2105 on the first one. So you can go Brawler instead of Heartseeker, and you will deal basically the same damage. All right, then we tried just getting rid of Bane. So we said, what happens if we just get rid of Bane? We just do Crusher, Brawlers, and Heartseeker, and you can see that Bane, you can't really replace it because of the percent pen it provides. So it does 2071, not that great. Definitely a downgrade. Then we tried the second one. We replaced Bane with Serrated Edge. I know Serrated Edge is a very popular item. I am very skeptical at first, but apparently it's actually So this is 2103, whereas the first one is 2105. So this build does 2 more damage. However, the difference is, the difference is negligible, and the Serrated Edge gives you something. So here's I compared it, right? I compared the two. So the first one is the first image, and then this one is the new one, right? So Titan's Bane versus Serrated Edge. That's what you got to know with these 2 images. Titan's Bane costs 100 less gold, but with Serrated Edge, you gain 7% more movement speed. And I think I value 7% movement speed more than 2 more damage and 100 gold. Especially towards the late game, because the build's already kind of cheap. Again, you can replace Heartseeker with Brawlers. I forgot to compare this without Heartseeker. I forgot, but as we established, Brawlers is still good damage, so you can replace Heartseeker with Brawlers if you want to. You can download the calculator in the description and try it yourself too. So if I forget any builds, you can test it yourself, right? And you can let me know how it goes. And then I compared, so I said Serrated Edge is better than Titan's Bane, so I compared Serrated Edge with the pen build that I built in the last episode, and yeah, there's a huge difference. So the first build does more damage, and it's way cheaper, right? It is considerably more cheaper than the one on the bottom because of Bloodforge. So yeah, and Transcendence. So clearly that pure power is not the answer. And again, this is against squishy Odins, so just keep that in mind. It is still squishy Odins. I do believe we're going to go into, so now this is a 200, around 200 protection Odin bot. Increases protections with the jungle practice, little plus and minuses. And I wanted to compare 40% penetration versus, only 30% penetration, but with more flat pen. And as you can see, the top one does more damage, but against the tanky Odin, but the bottom, the difference is like 50 damage, but one costs way more gold, right? But the first one has more survivability, right? Bloodforge and of course Soul Eater. But I do value the bottom one more because you get that 7% movement speed constantly, and you get a little bit more attack speed, so you can auto cancel faster. That's a little fun fact for you guys. The faster your attacking animations are, the faster you can auto cancel. So I do prefer the bottom one because it's just cheaper and more realistic in the jungle, right? Versus getting the top one, which is not realistic, right? Though now So then now we're coming down to compare which is better, my crit build, the crit build. It's not mine. I'm not the first one thought of it probably, right? And then the second one is the one I prefer the most, the pen build that I think is the best so far. And we can clearly tell that crit build is just superior. If you are fighting as a squishy unit, crit is better. That's just how that goes. Unless, of course, I don't crit 3 times in a row, which I think is like a 0.8% chance of happening, or 0.08 or something like that. So it's a very low chance of it to occur, but it can occur. But I'm willing to take the risk for additional 400 damage. And you guys got to remember that crit isn't just more damage. It also gives you infinite invisibility. So it's a huge difference here. So definitely crit wins this right off the bat. Now you might be wondering, okay, guys, and this is where I'm going to shock you guys. I'm going to shock you, right? This is for everyone who says, I'm going to hold it until then, right? So this next one here is against Odin bot with 200 protections. 200 protections, no spectral. So you can clearly tell that even against a unit who has around 200 physical protections, crit still out damages penetration build. It's completely ridiculous. I think this is not correct. If you build 0 penetration, you shouldn't be able to deal pretty much any damage to someone who has a lot of protections, even if you have crit, because I don't know, that's the way I see it, logically, right? But yeah, so crit with 0 penetration deals more damage with penetration against someone who's 200 protections, no spectral. So then let's compare it with spectral. So then this is Scylla, right? This is no longer Odin, this is Scylla. I brought a friend Izanami in, and this is the difference, right? This is Scylla with spectral armor, and that's it. So level 20 spectral armor, no other defenses, right? Because it's not realistic for a Scylla to build like 20 defenses, but trust me, I'll test that out anyways in the next image here. But you can see even against spectral, and 65 protection. So we're talking about like a Scylla who has around 100 plus 120-ish protections, right, with Spectral, and crit still deals more damage than penetration. It's ridiculous, right? But hey, crit's OP, right? This is why I'm telling you guys, crit is better than pen. Now, of course, I'm not gonna fail to acknowledge that penetration in the early game is better than crit, because you have to build crit and then you have to finish up crit to then abuse the mechanic. Pen, you just get pen and you always are set with consistent numbers, but you can clearly tell that crit's better than pen. And you might be saying, oh, but the damage difference is negligible. You're right, it's the same damage, guys. 1623, 1618, same damage. That's not the problem. The problem is crit provides infinite cooldowns, infinite vanishes. You can attack, stealth immediately. Pen doesn't. Pen relies on ulting in. Pen relies on using their ultimate to finish people off mostly, right? So it's yeah, I still prefer crit, right? And this is late game, so a little bias here. Like I said, I do value pen in the early game, but crit just dominates late game. So then what about a Scylla with 200 physical protections and Spectral? Still does more damage. And don't worry, I will show video proof here. As you can see in this footage right here, the Scylla has Spectral armor, no other defense, and you can't tell the difference in terms of pen versus crit, but trust me, mathematically speaking, crit does like a couple of more points of damage. And then this right here shows Scylla with full protection, so we're talking about like around 200. So she has 3 physical. She has Mystical Mill, Spectral, and that one that reduces your attack speed. So even with 200 protection Scylla with Spectral armor, crit does more damage against than pen, which is so weird. You would think that, hey, I have a lot of protection, so that means I should, you need to build pen against me. But for those, and I'm gonna say this now, this is for everyone who said, oh, Loki, you should build some penetrations, right? Well, apparently you don't. If you go full crit Loki, you do not need any penetration. You can just, because this is the same damage as penetration. Now you could argue saying that, what about going pen and crit? Well, the thing is that if you look at this build right here, what can you really replace, right? You need Transcendence because you're only burning a lot of mana by spamming your abilities. You can't get rid of Boomas or Malice because it allows you to infinitely, spam your abilities. Hydras is a core item on Loki. You can't replace Rage because you're so reliant on crit. You need that highest chance to crit, or you're not going to be able to reset your cooldowns, not going to be able to vanish out. So, and then Deathbringer is to just deal more damage and reduce the effectiveness of Spectral armor. So there is no room to build penetration in this build. People said Wind Demon. I don't think you should build Wind Demon because you're gambling with that crit chance, because Rage gives you like 50 crit chance or something. So no, that's a no. I want 95 crit. This build gives you 95 crit and I want 95. I hope you guys all enjoyed this, and the next video is probably going to be either the Ghost Lady or Split Push Loki, whichever I find more fascinating, and it's probably going to be Ghost Lady. Anyway, take care. Peace.